I told you the White Sox were going 500 in May. Let's talk about it. CHGO White Sox post-game show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. If it's May the 4th and it's a rubber match between the Astros and White Sox, maybe you could win yourself a couple bucks with Bet365. I'll tell you about how I did later on in the show. We are coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I am your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, producer Kevin Wells.
Yo.
We will be joined later on in the show from right field by Jared Willis, our CHGO baseball writer. We got people joining us in the chat. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We have Luke saying Mother Nature is our best closer. Not wrong. You also have No Expert saying the rain helps the Sox win again. LOL. What? Sox now have 2 7-inning wins. They won back on April 24th, 3-0 against the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. And now, just 10 days later, they get another win in 7 innings, 5-4 against the Astros. This one was a fun one, a sloppy one, a messy one. The Sox showed a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. They were down 4-0 in the 6th inning, and a drop fly ball in right field was just pretty much the unraveling of the sweater from Houston, and you just continued to unravel. If you do have any thoughts, let us know in the thoughts. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button, and we are excited to have you here. Sox are now 10-24 on the year, and they are 3-1 in the month of May. The interesting inning to start off was obviously the first. That's the beginning of all things. You know, usually you start the story at the beginning. We'll start at the top, or at least bottom of the first. There was some talk from Schriffen and Steve Stone about the White Sox throwing a lot at Luis Robert Jr., and maybe that's why he wasn't maybe firing on all cylinders to start the year. Schriffen mentions that the Sox have helped Robert try to have more fun and be an athlete. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're like gamifying the at-bats for him more. We talked about this on Thursday, that he's swinging at balls outside of the zone less. He's swinging at balls inside the zone less. He's just swinging at balls less. The lack of swinging and the inconsistent quality of those swings, that's really what's leading to the sub 200 average. But I do think that May is going to be a very good month for Robert. And Robert, in every single at-bat today, was a nightmare for the Sox. He singled in the first at-bat. Vargas moved to third. The Sox weren't able to score. Shout out to, I believe it was Andrew Vaughn in the first that ended up getting out and ruining that. No, it was Quero. Quero in the first ended up getting out. But Robert hits a single in the first, and then in the 3rd inning, he struck out swinging, but I guess it was 5th pitch of that at-bat. It was a 3-1 count. It was a changeup low. Robert took it. Absolutely should have been a walk. Then his 4th at-bat, he walks. 6th at-bat, he singled to center. Meidroth scored, and I believe that was the tying run, and then Quero ends up driving in Robert later in the game. Robert also stole 2 bags in this game, and he now leads the major leagues in stolen bases with 15. He's been extremely fun to watch. I don't know how they've helped him have more fun, but they're helping him more fun. Luke says athletes are Olympians, not baseball players. Isn't baseball an Olympic sport? Not like consistently, but I'm pretty sure they've had the Olympic Games in baseball. Wasn't Daisuke Matsuzaka an Olympic winner and a World Baseball Classic winner? I think like 2004 in Athens, there was the baseball series. baseball are athletes, okay? I mean, if Robert was back in the 2000s, back in ancient times, oh yeah, and then baseball is set to return to the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028. Boom.
Way to go. Good pull by you. Yeah, baseball's an Olympic sport.
This brain isn't stupid.
Just hasn't been for a while.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Luke. I'd chill on that. But no expert also saying ride the hot hand now and bring up Elko. I mentioned this on Thursday. You look at this White Sox lineup. Meidroth has been very, very interesting. He didn't score in his first at-bat of the day, but since returning, he scored or at least had a hit in the first 3 leadoff appearances. So this is his 4th game back from the IL. In the first 3 games back, he had a single in his first appearance and then scored a run in that first inning. He didn't score a run in this inning, but he ended up scoring in the 6th inning after a walk. He walked twice today, was on base twice. He's got a 275 average, an on-base percentage, I believe, over 300 now, or 350 over at this point. View, pull, profile. Sorry. I don't have it. Thank you, ESPN. Why is this terrible app? 408 for Meidroth with those 2 walks. But Meidroth has been extremely, extremely exciting to have back in the lineup since his injury. And we'll talk about Quero throughout this game. But Schriffen mentions in the first inning, the Sox think that Quero has a slow heartbeat. We'll talk to Jared Willis later on. He wrote a great piece up at CHGO, allchgo.com, about Quero, but that the White Sox love that the game is so slow for him. Rick Golf says, Quero in the freaking lineup, catching or DH. He is a game changer in our offense. Yeah, I think I mentioned on Thursday that I think that there might actually be an elite skill for Edgar Quero. There was talk that he's just kind of a solid baseball player, but you see him at the major league level, and maybe there will be adjustments, but I think he does have the elite I think he does have the elite skill of contact. He has a great ability to keep at bats alive, which lead to him getting on base via the walk, just for pitchers being unable to hit the zone. But still, I mean, his average, I think, is still above 300. Right now, it's at 340. Mercy. I mean, Patrick Nolan on Twitter, Sox Machine, or formerly of Sox Machine, he mentioned that he doesn't think that there's been this great of a start from a White Sox since Miguel Ordonez. Like, first 21 games, Edgar Quero currently sitting with a 340 average. He's got 8 RBIs. He's been absolutely insane, 446 on-base percentage. He's also got 6 runs as well. I was going to look up best 21-game start to a White Sox career, but I canceled my stat head and then tried to re-up it, and they kept saying error. So then I tried to create a new one with a new profile, and then they said error. So I was going to look up that stat, but I couldn't. So there you go. That's the hard-hitting info we bring here on CHGO.
If it wasn't Mags, who would it be then? Like,
I don't know.
Just off the dome. Just who do you think?
I don't know. I mean, you're mean Mercedes then, if we're being like truly realistic. I mean, like it's not that level of power to your mean Mercedes, but it just seems like every single opportunity that Edgar Quero has, whether it was in Boston back when he was his first full series, he came in cold off the bench, had a two RBI single that gave them the lead and the win on that Sunday. Same thing today as well. I mean, he's just been extremely clutch, and behind the plate, like, he's 22 years old. I don't know what he's going to be as a defender, but since he is so young, I think you can just give him time to see what the first 2 to 3 months look like for him defensively. Because, like, so far so good. Like, I think, that's been, he's passed every test. He's passing every test with flying colors. Meidroth is doing the same as well. These two have been extremely fun. The wonder that I have is, what's the ceiling for these two? Because they have been extremely successful to start their major league careers. We know that we've seen, early career success from Moncada. That's why they extended him. Anderson. That's why, we thought they were going to keep him around, but he just kind of fell off after 2022. You look at Robert as well. His start in 2020 and 2021, we thought he was going to be an MVP. I don't want to get too overexcited, like, I think that realistically, these two's floors are like 6th or 7th hitter in a above 500 White Sox lineup. If they're going above 81 and 81 in a year, let's say like 2027, you think that hopefully if they're able to fix Colson Montgomery, he's hitting above Meidroth and Quero. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Braden Montgomery is hitting above Colson Montgomery or Chase Meidroth and Edgar Quero. You don't know exactly what Luis Robert Jr. will return. You think that if it is against a righty, that Teal might be able to hit above Quero and Meidroth just because he does bring a little bit more pop. You don't know who the first baseman will be. Maybe it will be Tim Elko. But I think that, you know, you're looking at the ceiling of, you know, a really consistent 6th and 7th hitter. I think you're going to see a guy that, or two guys that are able to move the lineup consistently. And whatever the moment is, they're going to give you a very good at bat. Can Quero be this consistent and give you a 340 average? I don't think so. But
quite the position in baseball to do that at.
Yeah,
that'd be an incredible luxury for the Sox if he can hit around a 300 average as a catcher in baseball.
Who's the last hitter to hit 300? Or last catcher, sorry. Like, I feel like that's a really tough position to hit 300 at.
I mean,
even just above 320 as a catcher.
Who's the Dodgers catcher?
Again, I don't have stat head. Will Smith?
Yeah, Will Smith was close. I don't think he was at 300, but he was close. He's the best catcher in the league right now. Him and
I have to type in Will Smith baseball.
God, I'm tired.
Boy, that's now bringing up the other Will Smith, the reliever. I'm not having a good day with the internet here. Okay. Is it Will Smith?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. Why are they bringing up the inactive one? Okay, here we go. Will Smith last year, 248, 261. Yeah, I mean, his rookie year, no, that's only 137 plate appearances. Yeah. I mean, his best year is 260.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's a luxury,
he's
man.
Hitting 340.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to be real or not, but maybe. Luke McDowell bringing up George Wolko at first base. Maybe he's really far out, and now you see today he's got 2 singles. Woohoo. That's nice. One of them's a bunt that he's laying down the third base line. Not what you really want to see from the 6'6" outfielder. I would love to see Wolko, making a little bit more contact swinging the ball, but that's neither here nor there. You just think, though, that hopefully when this team is good, Meidroth and Quero don't have to be relied on so consistently as maybe a leadoff hitter or a 5th hitter, but right now in those positions, they're doing pretty damn well. And it's really, 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 really exciting that they're having this level of success. There was nice defense in the 4th. We'll take a break and then we'll get into the exciting stuff where the Sox end up taking the lead. But nice defense in the 4th. They're runners at 1st and 2nd. Quero dropped his glove. This was with Bryce Wilson on the mound. Runners again at 1st and 2nd. Sosa came, covered 2nd. Myers caught at 2nd. And then Pena had a single after that, which Myers would have scored. So Pena was at the plate with runners at 1st and 2nd. They're able to nab the runner at 2nd, and that Pena subsequent single after Myers is nabbed doesn't do the damage, is only a 4-0 game, and the Sox are able to keep this game close and, again, still end up taking the win. So that ended up being a huge play. Wilson was able to get Altuve after the Pena single, and then the White Sox, too, were able to knock McCullers out in the 4th. They weren't able to get the true damage against him, but 87 pitches in the 4th. I mean, how many times last year did we talk about the White Sox offense getting a starting pitcher out, in the 4th inning through 87 pitches? I know McCullers, obviously a very unique situation, hasn't pitched in 900-something days with his elbow strain, but I think that you really saw the Sox put things in motion by giving McCullers a hard time. I didn't know that the Astros would be going to someone this bad in their bullpen, but every bullpen that they threw out, or every bullpen arm that they threw out, was absolutely terrible. At a second there, too, in the 5th inning, Wilson couldn't bury a change to DeCenzo. He had a 2-run home run, made it 4-0, and DeCenzo was the pretty much hero there for the Astros. But then in the 5th inning, he drops a ball, E9, and that's where things get really interesting for the Sox. We'll talk about that right after the break. We'll get to the Sox taking the lead after being down to 4-0. We'll talk about Friday's game. We'll talk about Saturday's game, and then we'll talk about some prospect stuff as well. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the chat. While I hit this break, maybe look up Adley Rutschman's batting average 2 years ago. We want to let you know about our friends over at Empire Today. I like my cousin Jake. I think that Jake's a really smart kid. He's a bright kid, but he's really not passionate about home renovation. But he works at one of those big box stores. And that's the thing about big box stores is you're not really sure what you're going to get when you walk into those big box stores. You're wandering endless aisles that have different PVC pipes, paints, brushes, flooring, windows, and you're really just dizzied by all the options. Then you're hauling those materials home. You're looking for an installer, and you're coordinating everything for yourself. Maybe you try to ask for help from one of those big box store employees, and again, you're getting somebody that was working the self-checkout the day before. They were working in paint the day before that. Then they're helping in flooring. You're not really getting expert help. If you want to take care of your home, check out our friends over at Empire Today. They have flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who will focus on flooring every single day. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and right colors for your space. You can see how it looks with your furniture in your house. You can also have precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered, so there are no surprises with the experts over at Empire. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code CHGO, a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Rate. You know the name because you're a White Sox fan. They sponsor The Field. Rate.com is going to take all the stress out of getting your next mortgage. If you've ever tried to buy a home, get a loan, or just deal with money stuff in general, you know it can be a lot. That's why we have to tell you about the Rate app. It's seriously a game changer. You can get pre-approved for a mortgage in minutes without the need to jump through millions of hoops. And if you're thinking about a home equity loan or a personal loan, you could secure one in under 15 days. The Rate app also helps you find the best homeowners and auto insurances based on what you actually need, and the whole entire thing is powered by AI, so it's smart and saves you time. And something that is an unexpected bonus from a loan mortgage offerer is they have 800 free wellness videos, stuff like meditation, breathing exercises, stretching. I think something that baseball fans throughout the stress of a 162-game season need. I mean, Kevin Wells is freaking out about the Cubs when the team is well above 500, hitting, 15 home runs in Milwaukee. You just need to take some deep breaths, Kevin. And the Rate app can help you now. So scan the QR code that was on the screen, or just go to the Rate, or just go to the App Store and download the Rate app today to get started.
Yeah, that one right there on the
There's
screen.
the QR code. Thank you, Kevin.
Sean, we passed up Yanier Diaz, who batted almost 300 last year, 299 in 2024 with Houston. William Contreras batted 281 last year. Okay. Salvi Perez had an unreal year for his age, 271. But after that, it drops off. So, again, having a catcher that can hit for a high volume and be on base all the time is a huge luxury in MLB. There's not many guys that do that. There's only about 5 or 6.
He's not going to hit 340.
No.
But still, that's right now 40 points above what Diaz did.
Yeah, the 270 to 300 mark, I mean, that's what you're hoping for.
Luke does bring out Joe Mauer in 2017, hit 305, but John is right that Mauer was playing first base at the time. But I'm assuming that, like, the last one to truly, like, if we're talking like best batting average over the past 15 years from catcher, it's probably Posey or Mauer. You don't have to look it up. I'm just saying, like, the past 15 years, I would probably, like, since 2010, it's probably got to be one of the best seasons.
I would guess Posey. Yeah, that would make sense.
I'll try to look it up. Anyways, let's talk about the White Sox and not about the best
White Sox
hitting White Sox, the best past 15 years. So let's get to the 5th inning, bottom of the 5th. This is after Wilson can't bury that change. DeCenzo hits a 2-run homer, makes it 4-0 Houston. So Benintendi's up, and Benintendi ends up, why don't you flash that Jared tweet? Benintendi ends up leaving after this at-bat, but DeCenzo drops a ball. It's E9. Benny ends up at second base. Benny left the game after this with left calf tightness, and his day-to-day seemed to pull up at third base, according to Jared, in the 5th inning before eventually scoring, and then was pinch hit for in the 6th. So anyways, as Jared mentioned, Benintendi scores. Robert was able to walk after Benintendi reaches second. Quero then laced a single. Vaughn's up with the bases loaded in the first pitch, a weak pop out to left field. Just 91 up and in, and Vaughn just cannot actually do damage to it. But the next hitter, Josh Rojas, on 4 pitches, has an RBI walk. So with Robert walking, Quero hitting a single, I don't really understand Vaughn going up there swinging at the first pitch, because then you have Gusto throwing a 4-pitch walk to Rojas, making it 4-1. Then everyone's guy, Lennonites around the world, Lenyn Sosa, a 2-out single, 2-run score, 4-3 Sox. Sosa struck out with Vaughn at third in the 4th, and Steve Stone was really playing into the redeeming factor from Lenyn Sosa. That Lenyn Sosa has redeemed himself from that 4th inning faux pas. So good on Lenyn Sosa. And Sosa, I still think for qualified hitters, I think he leads the team in batting average. So to whoever called me a twerp a couple weeks ago for me wanting to cut Lenyn Sosa, you're right. Hey, Lenyn Sosa, I think still qualified, has the 252 average. I don't think Meidroth and Quero are qualified yet. So there you go. Sosa leads the team in batting average, and he comes in clutch in the 5th inning with a 2 RBI single. Stephen Okert comes in against Michael A. Taylor, and he blows by 3 straight fastballs pretty much against Taylor. But we start to see the rain on Taylor's helmet during the at-bat. It's 4-3 going into the 5th. In the 6th inning, Meidroth's at shortstop. He makes a nice throw deep in the hole against Dubon. It makes me wonder about Jake Amaya. Before the game today, Jake Amaya survived roster cuts. Josh Rojas was called up. Bobby Dahlbeck was DFA'd. Penn Murphy was recalled to AAA. Tyler Gilbert was called up from AAA. He's now on the Major League team. Frazier Ellard to the IL, and Caleb Freeman to the Major League team. So 2 new relievers for the Sox. But somehow Rojas gets Dahlbeck DFA'd. I always thought the move that would make sense would be Dahlbeck being DFA'd and Elko getting called up. Rojas, when I thought he would get called up, with his past experience at shortstop, his past experience at third base, his past experience at second base, I thought, hey, that could replace Jake Amaya's bum. I don't think I could say, can I say ASS? I know we can't. Okay, his bum ass. There we go.
Yeah, you're fine.
-1 defensive run saves. You look at 30 Major League shortstops who've played 100 innings defensively at shortstop this year. He ranks, tied for 20th in worst defensive run saved, -1. There's 11 of the 30 have a negative defensive run save. Amaya's one of them. Like, the one thing that he should bring to this team, he doesn't actually bring. Currently has a 0.94 average, a 121 on base percentage, a 113 slugging percentage, a -31 OPS plus. Like, how does he survive? I don't get it. Meidroth can play a fine shortstop. I think Baldwin can play a fine shortstop. I think now with Rojas on the team, in a pinch, he could play shortstop for you. I do not understand the move here of leaving Jake Amaya on the team. And it really then leads to the point where you see Elko leading minor league baseball with 10 home runs. It really seems like it's going to be Vaughn or Elko. There's no room, from what I'm seeing, for both Vaughn and Elko on the Major League roster, or at least from what Chris Getz is showing. So,
which is silly, because why would you not just bring him up and let him hit? You know, you don't have to DFA Vaughn. I know there's talk about that.
No,
you don't have
keep on the team.
Yeah, you can have them both. Tim Elko right now is one of your best 40 hitters on your 40 man. I don't even know.
Yeah,
is he on the 40 man?
He's one of your best 13 hitters.
Is he on the 40 man? I don't know.
I think so. No,
okay.
But if not,
if he's not, either way, you make a move. He's one of the best hitters in your organization right now. Why isn't he on the major league team?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could just
silly. It is.
You're DFAing Dahlbeck, who you can just remove him from the 40 man. You could remove Amaya as well. I mean, you do not need Jake Amaya on the organization. Anyways, Meidroth makes a nice throw deep in the hole, and then he also catches snagged a liner at shortstop as well in that 6th inning. Going to the bottom of the 6th, Meidroth again walks. Meidroth stole second easily. They were able to steal on Caratini, I think, 3 times today. A really nice job on the White Sox picking their spots. Robert then had a 2-out RBI single that drove in Meidroth, made it 4-4. Robert then stole his 15th bag on a pitch out. They tried to throw over to first twice against him, and then they pitched out, and they still, even though with the throw beating Robert to the bag, he's able to get his hand in before the tag is applied. Quero then laces the RBI single to give the Sox the 5-4 lead, and you just could tell right after the Sox take the lead, Bossard goes out, talks to the crew chief. Quero took second on a wild pitch because they continued to play. Walker drops a potential fallout, but then Vaughn at the plate with Quero on second, unable to come through, unable to extend that 5-4 lead, was under an up and in fastball and just could not drive that ball in. And then in the top of the 7th, we see, Mike Vassell go out there. He hit Diaz with a pitch, but then there was a beautiful 3-6-1 double play. Vargas started it at first, threw it over to Meidroth at short, and then you had Vassell in the 7th finish off that double play at first base, and then rain delay theater going into the bottom of the 7th, and that's where the game ended. And the Sox just kind of battled it enough and battled through enough to get this victory today. It was a really great, gritty victory, and we talked about the TWTW of Meidroth and Quero so far, and they were able to extend the Sox lead. They were able to keep this team threatening, even though they didn't score a run until the 6th inning. They were threatening in the 1st. They were threatening in the 4th. They did a really good job of just loading up the base paths throughout the day. Also, I said by the end of May, Luis Robert Jr. is going to have a 130 weighted runs created plus. I believe he's going to be over 100 weighted runs created plus after today's performance. But per CHSN, the Chicago White Sox have had the average lowest temperature for home games at 55 degrees. That's the average temperature. We talked about Robert, struggling when it is cold out. So maybe that is part of the reason why he's struggled so far. But something that I found interesting, Kevin, and we have about 3 minutes until the next break. I find interesting. Here was the top 5 from CHSN on lowest average home temperatures. The White Sox, 55.6. Detroit, 58.8. Seattle, 59. San Francisco, 60.9 degrees Fahrenheit. And the Cleveland Guardians, 61.6 degrees Fahrenheit. What is weird about that list?
Nothing, in my opinion.
Nothing?
No, nothing.
Okay.
San Francisco's always a little chilly. It's always cloudy.
The difference?
Seattle's always cold.
Okay, but what is the difference between Wright Field and Wrigley Field?
Yeah,
5 miles?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're in the same city. How is Chicago not in the top 5 for both of them? Is it just because Wrigley's playing in day games more often?
Well, yeah, that also could be a thing. But also, is it based on the amount of games they've played at home? Because the Cubs have been on the road a lot to start the year. Does it qualify? I don't know.
This is just average home temperature. So I don't know. I just thought that was.
Yeah, I think it's probably because of the day games, right? Because sun, warm.
I guess.
Science.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, Montana Shy asking, is this the only Sox coverage on CHGO now? Yeah, I guess, unfortunately. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel, whether you like it or not. On Friday, the Sox won 7-3. That was the debut of the City Connect 2.0 jerseys. Quero had a first-inning RBI double. Robert had a fifth-inning home run off Framber Valdez. And then Astros were able to shrink the deficit a little bit, but then in the 8th inning, Sox were able to extend that lead, again, back out to 4 runs. Jonathan Cannon was impressive, lowered his ERA to 4.26 on the season so far. 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 5 Ks. I don't love Jonathan Cannon yet. I'm not thrilled with him, but was a nice performance against Sacramento before this. Another nice performance against Houston. Sox are able to get the win on Friday. Then on Saturday, they wore the City Connect 2.0 jerseys again. They lost 8-3. It was the Jake Myers game. He went 4 for 4. He had 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. He was a single away from the cycle. Murphy, Ellard, and Schuster all around allowed runs from the pen. But again, continuing with Meidroth's excitement, Meidroth led off the first inning with a hit and run in the first 3 games coming back from the IL. Wasn't able to score in the first inning of today, but still got on twice with 2 walks. And Quero in his first 15 games, not including today, 326 average, 442 on base percentage, 395 slugging, and it's only gone up since there. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about Miguel Vargas after the break, and I think we'll be joined by Jared Willis. Do we send Jared the link?
Yes. I will send it to him if he doesn't have it.
Yep. There we go. All right. We want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is Illinois' favorite dispensary. They are your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, and some of the amazing features of Sunnyside is obviously the deal that we have. Use code HICHGO to get 50% off your first 3 online purchases, but they have expert guidance if you are a newbie to cannabis. I really do like their beverages. Go check out Uncle Arnie's 100 milligram beverages. I think they're really nice with a spindrift. If you like sparkling water, you could have 10 milligrams of a little Uncle Arnie's mixed into your spindrift, and you could have a nice peaceful night.
I'm a gummy hybrid guy.
What's up?
I'm a gummy hybrid guy.
There you go. You got a gummy hybrid guy. It's the edibles for us.
Yeah.
But Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, Wrigleyville and River North, and in the suburbs, Champaign and South Beloit. I really like the location in Elmwood Park. But visit our friends over at Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. I had a nice day on Bet365. I was able to cash in on a Luis Robert Jr. walk, a Chase Meidroth walk. I was able to cash in last night on a Corey Sandhagen submission in UFC Fight Night Des Moines. I also picked some French guy, RDR, De Renner, who was plus 300 on the money line. I had a nice time betting with our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use our code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Again, breaking news from our friends over at Bet365. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Use our code CHGO365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. Let's go out to Rate Field. I am having Kevin shake his head. We will go to Rate Field in a second. Here. Let's talk a little bit about Miguel Vargas. Miguel Vargas, after his first inning hit, extends his on-base game streak to 11 games. So an 11-game on-base streak for Miguel Vargas. We've talked a little bit about his hand change placement a little bit that the Sox have implemented since the Minnesota series in the end of April. There was a great piece by James Fegan over at Sox Machine. Gets on Vargas and the change a little over a week ago. We didn't know which direction this was going to go, but he's really squared up a lot of baseballs. He's getting to fastballs, driving it to all parts of the field. That's certainly an indication of good things happening. And James asked Vargas why the change. Vargas said to try to get better, more ready against fastballs. Same thing I've been doing all offseason, trying to get a little bit better against velocity. And then Ryan Fuller also said, again, Fuller versus velocity and certain locations, he's able to have where his hands could go to with his first movement. The whole idea was just to get his hands in a better position against high velocity. So he's able to have where his hands could go with his first move and stay a little bit higher to cover up the top part of the zone. His barrel was underneath high velocity, but he had good positioning with the bottom part of the zone. There was just a hole. middle in versus velocity. So you have Fuller crediting Aaron, the Sox biomechanist. I do not know Aaron's last name, Marcus Timms, and then Joel McKeithen. So we have seen success from Miguel Vargas so far, and that has been interesting to watch so far. That, he's been better defensively at third base, even was good defensively at first base, and he's been able to put the ball play a decent amount. Let's go out to right field and talk with Jared Willis. You look like you're home.
I am. I snuck out during the rain delay, and so
smart.
I'm back safely at home.
Nice. I wish I did that. We could have been both at home and remote, and Kevin could have been home too. It would have been all nice. You're very smart for heading home. Let's talk about Friday. I know you were there on Friday. You ended up writing up at ALLCITY.com about Edgar Quero and his fantastic start. And hey, it is still relevant, even more relevant after today. He was fantastic, had a clutch hit in the 6th inning, an RBI hit, but he is now, a 340 average. I think we saw a 450 or something, at 446 on base percentage. What have you learned about Edgar Quero this weekend?
Yeah, he and a couple of other guys, they are bringing some of the high contact rate that the White Sox really lacked for last year. We actually talked to hitting coach Marcus Thames for a while before today's game, and he talked about as an organization, the goal being to bring the whiff rate down and to get more balls in play, and how much of a difference they are getting from guys like Edgar Quero, Miguel Vargas, who you were just talking about, and then, of course, Chase Meidroth, who has been up for a little while, injured, and he's back, but still hitting. And I think we're seeing some of that difference. I think, Friday's game is a good example of that, but then even today, the way that they came back from that 4-0 deficit was thanks in part, at least, to getting balls in play and moving runners around the bases and getting some of those runners in. But Quero in particular, really a special thing I think that he's doing, from both sides of the plate, and to be hitting so well while doing that, while learning the catching position is a pretty impressive. So in Quero in particular, I think they've got something good there.
Yeah. How do you feel they think Quero has adapted to the defensive position at the major league level? Because so far so good. I mean, you saw in the 4th inning today that it wasn't necessarily him throwing the ball, but he's able to communicate with his pitcher, that the guy's off second base a little bit. They're able to nab Myers at second, and then Pena with the subsequent single isn't going to drive in a run that would have kept this game at 5-5. So how have they talked about Quero defensively?
Yeah, well, he actually, so we spoke to him. I talked to him a little bit on Friday after that game, and he talked about how much he is working with the other 2 catchers that are there. That's Matt Tyson and Corey Lee. And he said he's been spending a lot of time with them, working really closely with those 2 guys on learning the position and continuing to improve. And so I think he's doing the smart thing of, Tice is a veteran and Corey Lee's been around for a little while now, but, of learning directly from the guys who are playing the position ahead of him. And you see it, like in today's a great example of that, where something small that would be easy to miss if you're not really watching for it, but you see him do something like that, and it does make a difference in a game like today's. He drew a lot of praise from Jonathan Cannon on Friday, just about how much he has liked throwing to him and his game calling having gotten so much better. And Cannon, I think, has now pitched to Quero 3 times. His last 3 starts have all been to Quero. So, there's a little bit of a partnership developing there. So they're very happy with him on all fronts.
Let's go to the other prospect that's been grabbing everyone's attention in Chase Meidroth. You mentioned talking to hitting coach Marcus Timms. Scott Merkin tweeted this quote out, and it kind of had me baffled. I kind of want to make what you think of this quote. Marcus said, in spring training when he left, this is Chase, to go out, we just told him to get a little bit more aggressive. In spring training, he was taking a lot of pitches, and the big league level, you can't get behind a lot. But he took that down to Charlotte and applied it in his game, and his approach has been solid since he's been here. He's knows what he's doing, knows what he's trying to do, and it's been great. He's a great leadoff guy. I think the one thing that I loved about Chase Meidroth was that he was so different from the Chicago White Sox organization, was that he would see 8 to 10 pitches in every single at-bat. Did you take that as, they're trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive? Do you think that, he's increased that aggressiveness enough to where they're happy with him? Or do you think that still might be a part of what they might try to get out of Meidroth?
Yeah, I think I took it more as not a drastic change, but a little bit more of taking a batter who's very good at seeing a lot of pitches and maybe encouraging him to, hey, if you see something really good on that first pitch or even that second pitch, go ahead and attack it rather than trying to, rather than extending that at bat like you tend to do. And so, he didn't use this phrase, but I think just like healthy aggressiveness of your inclination is to be a little more patient, but don't be shy about jumping on a good pitch, especially in the major leagues where that so many pitchers are really working to get ahead in the count. And so they are going to be hitting the zone early on, first, second pitch. And so if you're seeing something good there, get after it.
Yeah, and I guess that's the one thing that we really haven't seen from Meidroth so far. I'm not going to complain about a player that's getting on base as much as he is, hitting nearly 300, 400 on base percentage, but 300 slug. His slugging percentage in Charlotte was around 600, and we did see home runs from him in Charlotte. So maybe that is what they are looking for Meidroth to be a little bit more aggressive in the count. And like you said, if there is a pitch he can feast on, maybe feast on a little bit more. Somebody that I've been extremely impressed with, and it's weird to talk so much about the offense because I feel like, especially 2024 was so much about the pitching, but I've been really thrilled with Luis Robert Jr. What did you take away from Robert on Friday after his home run in the 5th inning against Valdez? And then today, he should have been on base 4 times and really, got kind of screwed in the 4th inning, getting rung up unfairly. So what did you make of Robert this weekend, and what have you made of Robert's 2025?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is where he seems like he's turning a corner from a really a slow start, and it's encouraging, especially that home run that he hit on Friday, because what you're always looking for from a guy who's slumping is when they're at least hitting the ball hard, then that eventually good things are going to start to happen. And Friday was a great example where it was both. He hit the ball hard, and it hit it so hard that it went straight over the fence, because that was, I think, one of the hardest hit balls I've seen in quite a while. Seeing something similar with Andrew Vaughn right now, where some hard hit balls that are still finding gloves. So feeling slightly encouraged on that front too, but I don't want to get my hopes up. But with sticking with Luis Robert, I think it's just a pure and simple slow start. The guy's turning the corner this weekend is really good evidence of that.
You brought him up, number 25 on the White Sox.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk on the broadcast from Connor McKnight and John Shriffen and Steve Stone about how Andrew Vaughn is the second unluckiest player in baseball. His first at-bat was a missile right at the center fielder. He had a double in his second plate appearance, but then came up with a very important at-bat, bases loaded, and wasn't able to do any damage. I was very surprised that Bobby Dahlbeck was DFA'd today. I thought that they could have DFA'd Dahlbeck and called up Elko, and then with Rojas being activated, they could have DFA'd Amaya. Are you surprised Vaughn isn't facing more competition, or do you think that they are touting more that he's just being unlucky and that his stats will kind of level out?
Yeah. Marcus Thames talked about Vaughn this morning too, and said some of those things where they're still believing in the kind of contact that he's getting, even if the results aren't there. So I do think that they're going to be a little patient with Vaughn, at least for a little while longer, to continue to give him some of those chances. And like you said, some of the roster moves that happened this weekend and especially today, that he is going to get some more opportunities, some more at bats, and then maybe, yes, like some of those hits that he had today that didn't hit grass, that are they're hoping that's going to start to happen. So I think we may see a little bit more of Andrew Vaughn. I know everybody's excited about the possibility of Elko, and understandably so, but it may still be a bit on that.
Yeah, I just don't really see a place for Elko at this point. Luke brings up, do you think Getz is concerned that Vaughn and Elko are both righties? I think it's definitely tough to fit them both into the lineup, but Dahlbeck was up here as kind of, first baseman. He also had some middle infield flexibility, but he was a right-hander. They had no issue with him being on the lineup. I just think, when you're the White Sox, you're 10-24, let's have the 13 best hitters up on the roster, because there's really no reason to have Elko down in the minor leagues. It's not like you're trying to manipulate service time. He's 26, and it's kind of, he'll have one chance to make it or not.
Yeah, 100%, because especially in the position that the White Sox are in, what's the harm in, you've got a good hitter there in AAA, so why not bring him up? And you hear managers say it all the time. This is a good problem to have if you have too many bats to try to get into the lineup. And, if Elko's hitting, right-handed or not, if he's one of your best hitters in your organization, then you get him in the major leagues and you see what he can do. You trust that Will Venable will figure it out, and he's going to find the right spots for those guys. And like you said, at 10-24, what's the harm?
Yeah, we'll see. What do you think of the next 4 games coming up against the Royals? Jeff Passan tweeted today, coming into today, the Royals had an MLB low 18 homers in 34 games. In 9 innings against the Orioles, they've hit a franchise record 7 home runs since April 20th. They are 11-2, now sit with a record of 19-16. Do you think the Sox can split the 4-game series against the Royals?
I'll say this: the White Sox had overall a pretty impressive weekend against the Astros, who, even though I know this is a down year for them, they are not playing as well as they have in the last decade or so. But at the same time, that's still a good baseball team that the White Sox just took 2 out of 3 from, including today, coming back from a 4-0 deficit. So, sometimes it's just about when you catch certain teams, and maybe it's the Royals catching the White Sox when Chicago's playing well. So I could say a split. I feel pretty good about that.
People are saying you don't want to come to Chicago in May. I'm just saying, they're a real feisty bunch. That's Jared Willis. You can follow him at JWillis, Y's instead of I's, and make sure you read his work up at ALLCITY.com, especially that one about Edgar Quero from Friday. That piece was fantastic. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We will have a post game after tomorrow's game. The Sox will take on the Royals. It's Cole Reagans versus Shane Smith. I will have a post game for you later on tomorrow night, and we'll have a show on Thursday as well. So join us for more White Sox coverage here on CHGO. I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you to Jared Willis. Thank you to Kevin Wells for producing the show. Hit that thumbs up button, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.